We bring you today the fourth edition of the Distinguished Lecture Series that the Prem Jain Memorial Trust presents every month. We started this in January this year. It is heartening for us all here. I would say that of all the senior leaders too, to know that the series is drawing discerning leaders from across the country as speakers as well as participants. And we are also reaching out, as we are doing this time too, to formative minds of young professionals who will, be influenced by such stirring conversations as these lectures are offering. With every edition so far, the 3 editions that have gone and this 4th one, we have explored aspects of environment as well as of ecology in different micro-regions of India. We started with Bengaluru and Karnataka's vulnerable Western Ghats. We then moved on to Chandigarh. We hosted a very thoughtful session on housing from Ashok Lal, the architect from Delhi. Then we had last time from Coimbatore a very, very inspiring presentation on the cities, lakes, and the efforts that have been done for rejuvenation by one organization there. This time, the IGBC chapter, Mumbai, has brought an unusual combination of not just one speaker, but all of 3 speakers, all of them distinguished in their own right and merit. The theme speaks for itself. It's out there on the poster, that you're seeing. We have Ashok Mohanani from NAREDCO. As just now Sureshji said, he's done some enormous work to see how industry efforts are moved further to widen the ecological footprint in India. We have other speakers, as you know, and those will be put up there. I'm not going to take names just now. And to cap the session, we will have from ISKCON, Prabhuji Gauranga. I will leave it to Sandeep Shikre, chair of the Mumbai chapter, as well as many other things that he dons as cap, apart from running a very distinguished practice, of course, architectural practice from that city. I will leave it to him to offer us a glimpse into what the afternoon holds for us today. I must thank Jaimini Oberoi, chair of the Jaipur chapter, for not only being present here now, but for curating what I think is a wonderful, promising session for the next month on water management in India. He will talk about it sometime toward the end of the session today, after the other 3 distinguished lectures are completed. Here we are at the 4th edition, as I said. I hand the floor over to architect Sandeep Shikre, but I must tell you this about Sandeep. He's a very quiet supporter of every effort at the Prem Jain Memorial Trust. Over nearly 3 years now, the Trust has striven to bring unheralded and little-known initiatives to the National Forum. The effort has been to supplement, not supplant, the efforts to green India that all of our partner institutions, whether it's ISRE, ASHRE, IPA, BAI, CREDI, NAREDCO, IGBC, CII, the Alltech Foundation, INHAF, and many other such institutions which have been doing their hardest best to galvanize energies. These are all the partners. There are many more partner institutions. There are at least 11 or 12 other names that I'm not taking just now for want of time. I will stop here. We have a very lovely, exciting session today. I will leave it now to Sandeep Shikre to introduce the speakers and then to see how he will set the theme for this exciting art that we have before us. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Doctor. Before I begin with my dialogue, I think we have a small video on Dr. Jain. So I would request the organizer to run that video and then I will take it over.
If we can change the way we think about buildings, maybe what we build will change the world. Urban India in the 21st century is racing at a breathless pace, powering aspirations for bigger, better, and more. But this fast-paced growth brings some serious challenges of the modern times. Today, we are on the verge of exhausting our natural resources and our environmental bounties. Our society is in desperate need of a revolution to save and preserve sustainable for our future generations. The seeds for one such revolution were sown many decades ago, when a wise mother shared her far-sighted vision with her young, bright son.
From my earliest childhood, it's been ingrained with me that truth will always win, what we call Satyamev Jayate. She also gave us the love for all living living creatures, trees and plants, the message of non-violence. And ever since my childhood, I've always respected that all life forms are equally important.
This exceptionally talented young boy went on to become a champion crusader for Green India. Dr. Prem Jain graduated from Banaras Engineering College, BHU, in 1957 and went on to the University of Minnesota, USA, to obtain the highest degree of PhD in Mechanical and Electrical Engineering. After spending 13 years working with some best research and design firms in the USA, he decided to return to his Janani Janambhumi with a vision to build a new India. In 1980, he created Spectral, taking it to the country's most respected premier MEP consulting firm in the next 3 decades.
Another thing that happened in the Spectral time that we were working with, we were challenged, where is your green business center? As proud Indians we are, we said, we'll make the world's greenest. And we did. In 2003, we created World Trade Business Center in Hyderabad, which was then highest rating for any building in the whole world. And Rashtrapati came to inaugurate the building, which is unusual. They normally don't inaugurate the private building. But he did. That's where the green building movement started.
And that was just the start. Throughout his corporate journey, Dr. Prem Jain facilitated a record high of 60 platinum and 40 gold awards from IGBC and USGBC for design of green buildings in India. In 2007, Dr. Jain took over the mammoth responsibility heading the Indian Green Building Council, IGBC.
I declared when I became the chairman that next 6 years we'll achieve 1 billion square feet. 1 square foot by every Indian. My slogan was very simple.
His slogan became more than a reality when India reached 1 billion square feet of registered green footprint with IGBC in 2012, 3 years ahead of schedule, and further achieved 6.4 billion square feet of green building footprint by 2018. Dr. Jain also created another massive revolution by introducing a chapter on sustainability for the National Building Code of India in 2016.
The beauty of the code is that all municipalities across the country give approval to the plan based on the code. Every building which will come out henceforth, if it has to comply with the code, has to be green. And I know for sure in another 3 years or 4 years, we'll be far ahead of even America or any other country coming up in the future.
This visionary icon also founded ISHRE, which today has more than 12,000 professional and 8,000 student members. Later, ISHRE and ASHRE India bestowed upon him the Lifetime Achievement Award. He was also instrumental in institutionalizing Green Building Congress, an annual flagship event offering new paradigms to accelerate green building movement in India. For his exceptional work and vast knowledge, he was revered as the father of green buildings in India. One profound idea Dr. Jain strongly held onto was of nurturing and mentoring young bright minds, as he remained paramount through 47 years of relentless commitment to the School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, as a visiting faculty.
In light of what I learned about Shanti Niketan, out in the open, when I don't have to put anything on the board, the classes meet in the open air here. For me, it is very fulfilling to see these young boys and girls go out in the field fully equipped with the knowledge of the real world. I don't tell them books, I don't tell them formulae, I don't tell them catalogs. I tell them real life situation.
Today, he's no longer with us, but his legacy and vision will brighten the path for a generation of future leaders. To mark Dr. Jain's birth anniversary on the 26th of January, a week-long celebration titled Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav will take place from 23rd to 29 January annually. To promote Dr. Jain's love for Mother Nature, the Prem Jain Memorial Trust is formed with a mission to create, establish and maintain sustainability paradigm through education, recognition and nurturing of the present and future generations. The vision of the Trust is to identify future leaders and global development of sustainability, create awareness and advocacy on environment, foster development of education, recognition of public participation and innovation, nurture young talent, disseminate education on sustainable development, ecosystems and built environment, create response mechanism for evolving sustainability, nurture talent recognition and encourage incubation.
Good afternoon and warm welcome to all the dignitaries. Before I begin with my dialogue, let me sincerely express my gratitude to Prabhuji. We are extremely delighted and honored and blessed to have you here with us, Prabhuji, today. Your case study on sustainable development of Govardhan Eco Village will surely influence a lot of young minds here. And also in these pandemic times, your thoughts about importance of meditation and how the mindful leadership can be developed will be of a great help. Our today's program is our Shraddhanjali to Dr. Jain. Dr. Jain was known for his great humanity, love and respect for all. My relations with Dr. Jain was more than 20 years. I yet remember a day when he was introduced to me by Dr. Neetu Manke and another legion. And that particular introduction then slowly resonated into a very strong relationship. To me, he was a mentor, guru, leader, sometime appearing as a friend, and most importantly, a very caring well-wisher. Dr. Jain, as all of you know him, would agree with me that he had a very special one-to-one relationship with each one of us. His radiant smile and warm hug would go a long way to motivate all of us. His unconditional love for Janani Janmabhoomi Bharat, what in his own words he used to say, was remarkable. His passion, commitment, and belief in sustainable approach was seen in every action of his. He used to tell us, dream, dream, and dream. Dream will then lead you to thoughts, and thoughts will then lead you to action. That was a message he gave it to us. His dream was to get India on the top of the world's map in the terms of a green footprint. And today, we feel very proud with the able leadership of Gurmit Ji and Suresh Ji. The CII-IGBC has reached to a milestone of 7.7 billion square foot of a green footprint, which is spread over 2,400 projects and 28 rating systems. So that is a dream that he had thought about 14 years back. And today, we will be very soon crossing the benchmark of 10 billion square foot. It is tough to believe today that doctor is not with us, but I strongly believe that he's there somewhere with us, seeing his vision coming true. And every year during the Harit Mahotsav, all of us, we plant a lot of saplings with the belief that these saplings will have a firm roots and they will grow tall in the remembrance of Dr. Jain. We, a small group of like-minded people who are having a deep respect for Dr. Jain from West, have decided to form a community. We call it as a community. It's a humble beginning. This community consists of 5 people, which includes myself, Mala Singh, our vice chair at Indian Green Building Council Mumbai Committee, a very learned and a very reputed green professional. Sandeep Padora, a great human being. He's the owner and founder of Jackson Hospitality, which is the first platinum rated hotel in India. Then Sandeep, there's one more Sandeep. We have 3 Sandeeps coincidentally here. Sandeep Mandarita, who's also a very active professional, very active for ASHRAE, ISHRAE, IPA, and also for IGBC, who also has a very deep respect for Dr. Jain. And of course, we have Gurmit Ji, who's here with us for this particular session. So this is an humble beginning, and we would like to gradually grow this particular community to a little larger number. We are aware that there are countless dignitaries and stalwarts are there in West who have a deep respect for Dr. Jain. And we will continue, and we are committed to contribute our little worth to this noble cause. PJMT was formed soon after Doctor passed away, but today it is an initiative that we all think that we should also take to give our worth contribution for this noble cause. Today I'm very glad that I have Ashok Ji with me. I have architect Sameep Padora with me along with Prabhuji, and I couldn't have thought about anybody else than these dignitaries, and I'm very glad that they have accepted our invite. So I would now call upon Ashok Ji for giving his inaugural words. His profile is updated on a chat box, but just a brief introduction of him for a benefit of viewers. Ashok Ji is a founder of Ekta World. Ekta World is a very reputed real estate development firm. Ekta World has completed more than 20 million square foot of work and has provided more than 14,500 meaningful houses, which are sustainable and are fully compliant with the wellness. Ashok Ji's contribution for the real estate fraternity is well known. Besides being a very expert in his own field, he's also a very multidimensional personality. Ashok Ji is a very avid singer. You can definitely see him on YouTube, and he's some of very beautiful live concerts. And he's also a great sportsman. He's a director of a very unique game called pickleball. So we are all eager to hear you, Ashok Ji. Over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Good afternoon, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you for having me here today for the Prem Jain Distinguished Lecture Series 2021, along with such an audience gathering. We have with us Prabhu Guru Gauranga Ji. We have with us Dr. Hariharan, our trustee, Gurmit Arora Ji, who is also the IPA chairman and IGBC vice chairman. We have Payal Ji, Payal Jain, the trustee. We have with us architect Sameep Padora. We have Gemini Oberoi. We have Suresh with us. Friends, Dr. Jain, a man with distinguished laurels, as we all know about. His list of achievements is most enviable. Known as the father of green building movement in India. He was instrumental in single-handedly creating a green Bharat, and was also instrumental in making a paradigm shift in the way buildings are designed and conceived. He's also known as India's Jagat Guru of sustainability. Dr. Jain was the chairman of IGBC in 2007, he took over in 2007, when we had a meager 13 million square feet of green skyline. He's also known as the Bisma Pitama of India, who brought in 60 platinum and 40 gold awards from IGBC and US GBC. उनके लिए 2 लाइनें मैं कहना चाहूंगा संदीप जी। बांटने की जिनमें है अदा, बांटने की जिनमें है अदा, वो दिल में हमारे रहेंगे सदा, वो दिल में हमारे रहेंगे सदा। Today, we also have architect Sameep with us, whose studio believes that India's vast breadth of socio-cultural environments require multiple modes of practice and process to engage with countries' diverse contexts. This studio's approach is to look to context as repository of latest resources, connecting processes with network of materials and skills. We have with us Prabhuji Guru Gauranga ji, who's a BTech friends from IIT Mumbai. He's been a corporate coach and he's been giving guidance to corporate leaders, as well as had Earth conferences, and he's actively involved in ISKCON organization. He's an inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, and also an expert in presenting Vedic knowledge in a contemporary and enticing way. इनके बारे में ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो पानी से नहाते हैं वो लिबास बदलते हैं, जो पानी से नहाते हैं वो लिबास बदलते हैं, जो पसीने से नहाते हैं वो इतिहास बदलते हैं. Then what a great personality we have with us today. Then I'll tell you something about Ekta. We at Ekta, our projects are basically, sustainable development. Mala Singh has been involved with us. We have projects in Ekta Tripolis, where she got us the Platinum Pre-Certified certificate. We also have a project in Virar called Ekta Parksville. And we feel that the benefits that green building gives us, though the cost may go up, but I think they are far more, they outweigh far more, the benefits outweigh far more than the cost. And this also adds to the environment at large. Friends, I took over as president of NAREDCO West, that is Maharashtra, in October 2020, when we are going through real tough times. And I always believe that tough times don't last, but tough people do. So NAREDCO was established, friends, in 1998 under the aegis of the Housing Ministry. Prima facie, we have a couple of objectives, amongst others. A, to create and sustain an environment which is conducive to the growth of the real estate industry, partnering industry with government alike through advisory and consultative processes. We are hailed as the apex national body for real estate industry. We also have CREDAI, of course, which is much more senior than us, but then we have a membership of 5,500 across all chapters in Pan-India. In recent times, friends, you would know that NAREDCO has been working hand in hand with the government. I can tell you that in August last year, we had a webinar. We had several webinars during the lockdown and during the pandemic. So there, Aditya ji was there, Aditya Thackeray was there, and we promised him that in case if he considers our request to bring down stamp duty to half, that is from 5 to 2.5, from 6 to 3, we would shell in the balance and we would ensure that our buyers had to pay absolute zero stamp duty. So friends, we exactly did that. Over 1,000 projects did not charge stamp duty to a single buyer till as recent as March 2021. For the friends, you know that premiums, open space deficiency, fungible premiums, etc. There are 22 types of premiums. They contribute to almost 36 to 38% of the project cost. This, with our persuasion, we were successful in getting it down to 50%. That is up to 31st of December 2021. So friends, what is this going to do for us, for the industry at large? So friends, cost will come down, and we promised the government that if you reduce the premiums, we will pass on the entire benefit to our buyers by not charging them stamp duty again. So this benefit continues till we utilize this entire amount. Okay, we're supposed to pay by December 21, but the concession can go on for as long as it's complete. And this benefit will go to our buyers, and they will not have to pay a single rupee by way of stamp duty. Then we've been working with the finance minister, and we were able to convince them, the RBI also, to have a fund, a Swami fund, which has 25,000 crores. This is a last mile fund. This helps the developers to, kind of recoup themselves, reboot themselves during these tough times and have a financial closure. We also were successful in getting ECLGS, that is the Emergency Credit Linked Guarantee Scheme. This money came to us for as little as 8 to 8.5%. This again is indeed very, very helpful for developers to bring a financial closure to their projects. Friends, again, we were successful in getting the home loans rate to as low as 6.6%. This is the lowest, friends, in the history of real estate, to bring it down to 6.6%. This has boosted the industry to a great extent. And the millennials, the NRIs, they were actually shying away, or rather, sitting on the fence. They didn't want to buy. They preferred to stay on rental premises. They felt that, yes, this is now the right time to buy property, the right time to buy your own house. They believed, that ghar hamesha ghar rahega. So residential did pick up to a great extent. Commercial also is doing equally well, but hospitality, of course, has taken a slight beating. Friends, we were also able to, work together with the government and get a unified DCPR. So the entire Maharashtra, leaving aside Mumbai and JNPT, has a single set of rules. So this becomes good for all the architects who are there today in this gathering. It becomes a level playing field for all of us to work towards sustainable development. So friends, we'll be having knowledge series. We'll be having, monthly knowledge series to educate our customers. We've got people from the government. We've got luminaries, industry leaders who educate our members and update them of whatever is happening today in the real estate industry. Friends, I'm proud to say that in October 20, NAREDCO signed an MOU with CII and IGBC to accelerate the country's green building movement. We also have, friends, skill development for our labor. It's very crucial that the labor should be, having the required skills. So the fitters, carpenters who is to, basically work with the old school of thought have been educated through the ages of the housing ministry. We've been successful in doing that. Now we are working, friends, on getting our labor, all the labor, vaccinated. So we've been, representing to the government, and we are hopeful that this will happen very soon. I once again thank Sandeep and PJMT for inviting me here today to be a part of this noble event. Thank you once again, friends.
Sandeep, are we going to hear Ashok ji sing today also? maybe 2 lines. Ashok?
Do we have the time?
Go on, please.
2 minutes,
okay,
yes.
So, yeah, so a song that touches my heart most, it's sung by Mukesh ji, and it was pictured by Raj Kapoor ji. Okay, it goes this way. किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है, जीना इसी का नाम है. शुक्रिया दोस्तों. Thank you.
Wow. What more one can ask for? That was so nice of you, Ashok ji, to agree on giving wonderful lines for this program. And Ashok ji is doing a great job He's a president, NAREDCO West, and he had explained all the initiatives that NAREDCO is taking, which is not only focusing on any linear thoughts, but it is a very multidimensional thoughts, looking at the design fraternity, looking at the real estate regulatory faculty, and also looking at the labor. It's really something that is very, very highly admirable. And now we feel quite assured, because earlier there was a dialogue amongst all the fraternity was missing, but that has now come into its place. So lots of compliments to you, Ashok ji, and your association. I now move ahead to Architect Sameep. Architect Sameep is a young, talented architect from my hometown. He did his graduation from Mumbai University, and then he did his master's from Harvard University. And rightly so, he chose to come back, thanks to him. And within a very short span, he has achieved a very higher heights. Sameep's projects are not only iconic, but they are very meaningful, they are very thoughtful. They have a wonderful people-centric connect, and all of those built environment. You'll see it now in another 5 minutes onwards. It will be absolutely riveting. I'm personally a big fan of him, and I'm very glad that he's here with us. Sameep also has an initiative of a non-profit making research organization. They are doing research on affordable housing, and his papers were admired by the International Forum. Sameep is a co-founder of Bandra Collectives, along with another 5 talented architects. Bandra Collectives is doing a great job for the purpose of coming up with good thoughts for the urban renewal and the upliftment of our urban spaces. And there are countless accolades I can talk about him. It is said architect's talent can be seen through his work. So I would now ask Sameep to come and just share with us. And let me assure you that it will be very riveting. Over to you, Sameep.
Thank you, Sandeep, for that introduction. It sounds much better than it actually is, but also I'm very happy to be here at this forum. I, of course, have not had the opportunity to meet Mr. Prem Jain in person, but have learnt of him with my interactions with you of late. So I know there's a tight timeline, so without much delay, I'm going to begin my presentation. Though I have to say that after Mr. Ashok's little song, it's a tough act to follow. So I'm going to try my best though. So I just want to share my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Sameep, you have to make it full screen. You have to make it.
Oh,
full
okay.
screen.
It's not full screen. That's what I was. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see it now?
There we go. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do today is actually, while thinking about the kind of projects that I should show, I actually narrowed down on 3 projects specifically. All 3 of them have a kind of peri-urban or a kind of rural setting. And the reason why I picked these projects was because, like the thematic, like the work that's been done by the trust, there is a certain emphasis on sustainability that I think is critical to the nature of these projects. And I'm just going to start with the first one. The first project that I'm showing is a community center that we built in rural Maharashtra. It's called Jetwan. It's actually it's in that grove of trees, as you can see there. It's located right next to. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's located right next to a sugar factory, and what we were doing was basically creating this community center, skill development center, as well as religious studies location for people who worked in the factory. They were essentially Dalit Bauds, following the Buddhist doctrine. And what we've actually tried to do is try to respond to the fact that we were building in this entire grove of trees, which is really thick. It's actually so thick that when we first went to site, we actually, there were discussions by the factory owners to actually move the entire project to another location, which would have less trees. But what we did was we actually told Sameep Somaya, who's the landowner, that we would build in a way that would not impact a single tree on site. We would build in between the trees. So the clue really, in some sense, for us was the way that we actually kind of experience nature, even though you could experience nature, even though you might sit inside. And not be directly connected to the outside. So what we were trying to do was trying to look at the traditional idea of what architecture is, kind of walls and a roof, but at the same time, because of our location, to invert that idea, to be able to connect with the outside even when you're within the structure. So this was really the kind of basic premise with which we started this project. And it's really a very kind of simple diagram. It's actually an administrative block right here. There is a meditation hall, there is a skill development center, and there are 3 dormitory units for the teachers who come to the space. Both of them, all of these programs are structured around 2 courtyards. And what you actually see is the existing trees that we retain and basically positioned the buildings in a way that would not impact the trees. We worked very intensively with the local communities. We were working with them to understand, to kind of talk to them about what we were building, how we were building, and what would be the systemic change that it would bring, or it could bring, to the way that architecture is perceived in the area. We brought in Hunarshala, who are a group that work out of Bhuj, working with traditional crafts, traditional craftsmen skills, and brought their expertise in to actually further valorize this kind of attitude of our project to establish building within a certain context with materials available to us. The project really, and this is something that we believe in immensely, the idea of a material ecology, to kind of understand what is the materiality that is available to us. So this entire project was built out of stone dust from a local basalt stone quarry. Stone dust is really a kind of byproduct. It's waste. It's thrown away. We actually used fly ash that came out of waste from the sugar factory, which they were paying people to take away as well, to then build walls out of rammed stone dust. So the walls that we have made are made out of this waste material. We used reappropriated bricks and Mangalore tiles from houses that were being broken, and we've done the entire structure in wood that was got from Alhang, from old ships that had been dismantled in the shipbreaking yards there. We had initially started this project thinking that we would bring Hunarshala in to actually build with mud, but we found that the mud required a lot of cement to stabilize, given the nature of clay in the soil. And we finally then did tests for blocks of stone dust as well as mud, and finally found that stone dust was a much better and much more ecologically sensitive material to work with. This is the process of us, of the ramming of those stone dust walls on site. Various kinds of finishes based on different kinds of mixes that we were using. These are just some drawings of that. And this really, in some sense, is the diagram of the project. It's very, very kind of simple in a way that the edge has the stone dust walls. The center is a gutter for water to be kind of carted away to a water harvesting tank, and the center is also the gutter is also a beam to take the structure that is actually made out of wood. So this is the process of us getting the wood being articulated on site, along with the roof going into place. And the entire underside of this roof is then made out of a material that we generated on site. It's basically a jute. It's jute that is wrapped around twigs mixed with mud. This entire process is done 7 times, and then the entire mud roll is sun dried. And then it's actually kind of layered on the roof, and then the Mangalore tiles go on top. This particular technique has enabled us to actually create temperature differences almost 5 to 6 degrees on the inside during hot summer months, where temperatures go up to 45, 48 degrees here. This is the Mangalore tiles. This is the first mock-up that we did on site. This is Kiran Bhai from Hunarshala, who actually worked very actively with us to develop the project. And this is some of the brickwork going up. The entire floor is done out of stabilized cement and mud and dung, as they would do in villages. But what we were also trying to do was trying to generate some connect with the residents of the area so that they can come back and do this once a year or twice a year, so that that also generates some kind of income for them. So it creates a tie-in, an economic tie-in with the villages that we are kind of situated in between. This is the final project. These are just some images. I think one aspect of the nature of the material that we've used is also the fact that it creates a certain kind of tactility. The walls have a certain quality that, you know, as you can see in this little image of that girl, the little girl trying to touch the wall, it creates a kind of almost impetus to touch the surface. It is in some sense, you know, a kind of validation of the theme that architecture can, in some sense, influence behavior. This is an image of the courtyard. This is the beam, the structural gutter that I was talking about. These are just some images of the way that that entire detail works. This is at the opening. These are kind of spaces in between various blocks. What you see is really how we've kind of tried to, you know, in some sense, through this image, you can actually clearly see the validation of the idea that while you're inside the space, you're still visually being able to connect with the immediate surroundings outside. That's the main courtyard. It's also an actively used community space. So today, what people are doing here includes running programs for school children, to devotional programs, to even UPSC training you know, programs as well. So it's really a project that is strongly connected to the community, both through material, but also through the way it's been programmed. And, you know, just despite the fact that it's a very strong kind of architectural diagram that structures the project, the diagram is also, in some sense, contaminated, is allowed to contaminate itself to allow for trees to survive, rather than trying to kind of replace them in some sense. The second project that I'm going to show is a library that we have done. It's a small addition that we did to a school in close to Shirdi. It's a school for small children, and what we were actually trying to also work with is to understand how children view architecture. In some very interesting discussions with ex-students of the school, we were told about how some of the kids used to talk about particular areas on the campus that they would kind of gather, maybe in the big hall, and talk about the hall as being, you know, something that was embedded in their memory of school and of their education and growing up. And it's that kind of connect with architecture that can make spaces special. So what we were trying to do here was to try and create an architecture that is simultaneously also landscape. This idea comes from the fact that when even when I was a child, I would actually prefer, when if you see like a mound, you want to climb it, almost kind of instinctively, maybe not just as a child, but also as a grown up. And that's something that we were trying to see if we could actually create an architecture that is also simultaneously landscape. This was really what we were trying to see, if we could get to this point. But to build an architectural landscape, what we were doing also is to, in some sense, question the idea of what the regional is, to what we kind of have, in some sense, been seen bracketed into a kind of stylistic idea. For us, the regional is no longer limited to the geographical boundaries that lock a particular location, but really about the fact that we now sit on knowledge networks that allow us to take from these fantastic ideas that people have worked on throughout the world and use that to actually enrich what might be a kind of local need. So to build this project, we went back to 16th century Spain to understand how Catalan tile vaulting was done without any RCC. To then work with structural details from 1960s Uruguay, where Eladio Dieste was working with some incredible kind of stress ideas in doing cantilevered brick vaults, and then finally working with software from the ETH Zurich, cutting edge software from the ETH Zurich, to actually help calculate the structural performance of a project which is completely compression based. And finally, we were using this all of this knowledge to build in India using local brick tile from the area that we were building in. So for us, the regional now or context now is no longer limited to a geographical location, but it's also in some sense a function of ideas of imagination over time. And what you see here now is the site plan of the project. It is, these were existing buildings on site, and what we were trying to do was build in the gap that was available to us between that building, which is why the building takes on that particular kind of form as well. It lies on the route of a shortcut to various playgrounds in that area. So what we were trying to do was trying to also imagine our landscape, our building as landscape, to allow people to move through it and also to walk over it. It's actually a very simple plan. It's a large pavilion space open from 5 sides actually, which allows for very good ventilation and light in the space. But yet the library stacks are in the middle and reading areas on all sides. That's just a section to explain the site. This is a kind of technical detail which talks about how the tile vaulting is done without any reinforcement. These were the initial mock-ups that we did, a single kind of tile vault that allows people to actually stand on it. This worked, so we were quite happy. Then these are actually critical points in our project where, as you might all well know, that when you're actually building a curved structure of any kind, the most expensive part of that is the actual formwork. In what we think was probably the most kind of significant part of the project, we actually used reinforcement to map the various points that we had that defined the curve. And once the first layer of brick tile was set over that reinforcement, the reinforcement cage was removed by the contractor to then use as to cast a slab on another project. So formwork cost in the project turned out to be nothing really. And this is actually the space. It's about 140 feet long. It's 25 feet at its widest, and it's only 4.5 inches thick. And it can, take people walking over it. So what you actually see here is the interior of the library. What you see along the edge is a profile that we actually worked on, where we actually couldn't do too much glass because it's also expensive. We added detail where there was SS mesh at the upper level, which allowed for air to move through the building, so it's much cooler inside than it is outside during the summers. All of the, because it's a compression structure, that's completely load bearing. There is, we are not touching the ceiling at all. So if there is a gap even between, there's a slight gap between the frames of the glass and the vault, as well as the fact that all of the fans are actually built off the central stacks of without touching the ceiling again. So various scales of also seating, depending on how big the groups are to actually study in the space. And this is just to give you a sense of looking down. It was very interesting, actually. After we finished the project, and we were kind of happy. It won a couple of big awards. It won Arc Daily's Building of the Year. It won Architectural Review's Best Library in the World project as well. But one of the most kind of gratifying parts was to actually get a Instagram message from one of the ex-students of the school, who sent me a message saying that how happy she was, and in their kind of alumni groups, they were talking about how proud this library has made them, the kind of attention that it's received, and this now, for whatever it's worth, is actually prompting her, or it's gotten her interested in architecture, and that's what she's going to study as she kind of moves into her 12th standard as well. So that, yeah, that was interesting. Now the last project that I'm going to actually to share this afternoon is a project that we've done as a part of a CSR project that GSW was doing next to one of its plants in Andhra. It's actually, we call it the Temple of Steps. It works with the idea of how water operates with kind of religious precincts, and there is this kind of relationship between the kund, between the ghat, and the kind of temple form, and how we might, in some sense, develop a language that allows us to connect these two. The reason for us to actually pick this prompt of water came from the fact that this entire area actually has a lot of there's a lot of quarrying that happens for cement, for limestone to be used in the JSW cement plant. And a byproduct of that is the fact that while the quarrying happens, there is water generated. What typically was happening was this water was just kind of evaporating from the quarry itself. And what we were trying to do was trying to see in what is a really kind of dry and arid area, to try and see if we can use that water to recharge the groundwater of that area. And what we eventually ended up finding out was the fact that there was so much water that was coming out of it that we could divert some of this water from the recharge pits when they were full back into the farmlands, and to enable the farmers to actually benefit from it. So for us, in some sense, this idea of sustainability is very closely linked to also processes, not just of material and the kind of production of architecture, but also the life that architecture takes beyond its program and within the society that it's situated in. That's just a plan of the project. You enter from the left-hand side, you come on to this kind of east-west axis. That is the first shrine, the Varahaswamy shrine that you actually encounter. At the end of the axis is the Balaji shrine, and on the top there is the priest's quarters and the kitchen from where the prasad is made. That's really the kind of schematic of the project. Like I said, it's all kind of based on this idea of the retention pond and water harvesting. And what we've actually done is developed an entire landscape idea, which allows us to remediate, clean the water while it's waiting in the pond. This is just a kind of drone shot of the temple. That's the temple in the context. That what you see in the background is the JSW plant. You can already see how the water overflow is now changing the kind of landscape of the surrounding farmlands again. Yeah, just to give you a sense of the idea of, and again, these are kind of historical aspects that I think there is I know the thematic of the talk is about how architecture impacts behavior. But the evolution of our architectural types is testament to the fact that behavior also prompts architecture to respond through its formal context. And in a sense that historical types like the temple and the kund have existed in synergy for as long as one can remember. And that's just an idea that in some sense through this project we are going back to. And that's the kind of back of the temple where the temple steps combine with the water, and where the kind of steps of the temple in some sense become this kind of amphitheater almost for social events as well. So that was pretty much the last slide, and I'm going to just end by saying that to be an architect, one inherently needs to be an optimist. One has to believe that in some sense what one is designing is contributing in trying to make a better world. All our impetus as architects come from this position. However, being where we are today, to see the condition, the death, the carnage that we see today, this failure of societal structure, governance, institutions, it is difficult sometimes to be that optimistic. But perhaps it's platforms like these, like the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, and these kind of thematics about architecture and behavior, that are the seeds to kind of prompt the idea that sensitive architecture might shape the society we inhabit for the better, shape our behavior in the society as well. Thank you.
Wow. Well said, Sameep. Very, very well said.
Thank you.
And thanks for that brilliant 3 projects. Each of the project had a very in-depth meaning and a lot of wonderful messages to all our viewers. As we say, architecture is a creative science that combines art and engineering. But when it is complemented with such a meaningful and thoughtful value additions, what turns out that we could see. And I think it has definitely has enlightened and has rejuvenated a lot of young minds here. And we would definitely engage you for some of our programs in future. And I'm sure you'll agree with us. Thank you very much for that brilliant presentation. Thank you. So I now move ahead to request Ms. Payal Jain. All of you know Payal Jain is daughter of Dr. Jain, and the relation of a caring daughter with a father is well known, you know. So Payal did her graduation from University of California. She is a very, very well established and reputed designer in her field of fashion design. And rightly so, she also decided to come back to India. And today she's engaging relentless efforts for Prem Jain Memorial Trust, along with a lot of dignitaries and great trustees. So I would now request her to come and give her address to this forum. And after Payal's speech, I would request Payal to kindly request Gurmit ji to come, and Gurmit ji will then take charge of the dais and moderate the rest of the session for today. Over to you, Payal.
Thank you very much, Sandeep. I'm very, very happy that you're all here. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today. I know these are difficult times and we have to get through them together. So everybody who's made that effort to actually join in and be with us today, I'm really, truly grateful. I know everybody's going through their own challenges, their own pain, but I do believe there is hope and there is faith, and that's what we all need to hang on to. And maybe we will emerge with a better planet, and maybe with more compassion and more kindness, which is what we all need. Thank you, Sameep. That was an amazing presentation. Very, very inspiring, truly inspiring. So many questions. I will come back to you with all those questions. But I was very impressed with the way you are actually, I mean, this is truly sustainable. You are actually reusing all the materials and creating such magic with your architecture. I mean, I have to say this because I'm so inspired. I wanted to be an architect, and that's where I started my journey. And I studied architecture. Initially, I did in school. And then fashion came along and became my first love. But honestly, it was very, very inspiring to see what you're doing. Congratulations. And Ashokji, thank you very much for that lovely song. That is what we all need to hold on to in these times. We will get through this. I truly believe faith will take us through this. I want to say a big thank you, and I want to congratulate everybody to make this PJMT West community. This is our first session, so thank you very much, Sandeep. The other two Sandeeps who are here with us but not visible on the camera, Gurmeet, Mala, I mean, you're all family, and now I can see the PJMT family is growing. This is our first big second location other than Delhi, and we are really hopeful there'll be a lot happening in the future. Thank you very much, Sureshji, for always being with us, for your constant energy, enthusiasm, encouragement. We would not be here at the Trust without you. Dr. Hariharan, of course, for driving a distinguished lecture series from day one, relentlessly, despite all of us creating enough hurdles along the way. But thank you for your patience. Thank you, Gemini-ji, for offering to do the next one. Again, you are family, and I'm hoping we'll do some great stuff next month. I want to also thank IGBC, which beyond my family, my immediate family has become this extended family now after my father, and I think these are his blessings. So I'm very, very grateful for that constant. I constantly feel like there's some people I can rely on, and they are my extended family. I will now invite Mr. Gurmit Singh, President of Indian Plumbing Association and Vice Chairman of CII-IGBC, to take over the platform. And again, he is a founding board member of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, and has been a big instrument in bringing the trust to what it is today, 2 years down the line. Before I hand over to Gurmeet, I want to leave a few lines from Guru Rabindranath Tagore, who I have grown up hearing from my father, and my father worshipped. Reach high, for stars lie hidden in you. Dream deep, for every dream precedes the goal. And I hope all the young people, the students who are here, will take this thought and make this a more beautiful planet. Thank you.
And before you speak, we want to acknowledge sincerely the presence of JP Shroff, RK Somani Sahib is here, Rajesh Lund from Coimbatore, who hosted the meeting last month. Ranganath is here, of course, from Chennai. Sandeep Talikar, I don't have to say. Anil Dev, who has been a dear friend for Dr. Prem Jain for many years. He's made time today. I don't have to acknowledge the others who have already been spoken about. Over to you, Gurmeet.
Thank you, Chandra. Well, I met Dr. Jain in 91, 92. And since then, I've been very close to him and inspired by him. He brought me into the green building movement. Not only me, but Chandrasekhar, Hariharan, all of us together. And he has been able to knit us into one cloth, one family. And somehow, we may all not be in the business of sustainability, but whether it was V. Suresh from Utco earlier and from Niranjan Hirnandani's company, Hirco, or myself, but somehow he inspired us to work towards Mother Earth. Gemini, you are there, and to work together towards giving back something to the nation, to the earth. And that's why we are very proud that we are all together in this Prem Jain Memorial Trust with Payal. And of course, we formed this after the sad demise of Dr. P.C. Jain. But I am proud that the Prem Jain Memorial Trust is doing its job for sustainability, trying to put us all together and to see how we can all make a little difference. I know individually we cannot do a lot, but together we can certainly do wonders. And I request all of you to put in at least a part of your life, give back something. We all earn money, we all spend a lot of time on our work. Architect Sameep, Sandeep, we all are busy in our own work. But if we can spend 2%, 5% of our time in giving back something to Mother Earth, I am sure we'll make a wonderful difference together. Well, I would like to talk about the trust. We formed this trust together to create, establish, and maintain a sustainability paradigm through education, recognition, and nurturing of the present and future generations. We have a vision today to be a catalyst for global development of sustainability. IGBC today is not only the largest green building council in India, but one of the largest green building councils in the world. Now, when we started IGBC in 2001, we never realized that we would touch 1 billion square feet. Dr. Jain had set a target of 1 square feet for every person in India, and therefore the target of 1 billion came up. And after we achieved 1 billion, Dr. Jain saw, wow, we can go much higher. And as Dr. Jain was, and I knew him, how his target would rise exponentially, he increased it to 10 billion square feet. Well, we are right now at 7.7 billion square feet, and we are poised now to become the largest green building council in the world very soon. By 2022, when India turns 75, we plan to touch 10 billion square feet under the guidance and leadership of Mr. V. Suresh, my boss in IGBC. Mr. Suresh, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm there very much.
Okay. Because you're looking down now, you can keep your phone
away.
No.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So this trust also wants to achieve public good with the intent of influencing policy, creating awareness and advocacy on sustainability and environment. We want to foster sustainable development of education and practices through recognition of public participation and innovation, alongside creating technological and economic incentives. And therefore, our 275 chapters of IGBC are there already for the trust to see how we can imbibe sustainability even in young minds, to make sure that by the time they graduate, they are all responsible citizens and they realize that whatever we have done for Mother Earth, at least we can undo part of that. To nurture India's young talent and disseminate every form of education on sustainable development ecosystems, built environment, traditions, arts and crafts, related studies across academic institutions amidst the youth and working professionals, to create a response mechanism for evolving sustainability paradigm in the context of dynamic societal needs, technological advancements, and realignment of economic priorities. So the trust basically is formed for the purpose of giving back to society and working together. So I request all of you to kindly come together with the trust, be part of the trust, and let us see how we can work together in giving something back to society. It's a not-for-profit making organization. We don't want any money from you. We want you to contribute your time, your effort, your energy, And we are not asking you to give us the mantle and we do it, you can do it yourself. We can only guide you. We can set programs for you just to make sure that we give back something to society, we give back something to Mother Earth. I am very, very thankful to Architect Sandeep Shikre, our chairman of IGBC Mumbai chapter, for starting the distinguished lecture series and other activities of the Trust in the West. I congratulate you, Sandeep, and your team. Thank you very much for starting this. Our next program is going to be in Jaipur. My buddy, Mr. Gemini Oberoi is right here with us. He's right on top of my screen on the left. I don't know where he is on your screen. But Gemini, my trusted friend, is managing partner of J. Monco, writer of J. Monco Constructions, and they have been in construction since 71 years. He has received the Presidential Appreciation Award in the year 1984 from the then President of India, His Excellency Sardar Gyani Zail Singh. Gemini is chairman of CII-IGBC Jaipur chapter since the last 5 years and has contributed successfully with 2 mega green environmental events in Jaipur, the 15th IGBC Congress and the Green Building Council members meet from 2nd to 4th October 2017. Gemini is also chairman of WBCSD Geneva, World Plumbing Council for Sustainable Development. He is the chairman of IACC Indo-American Chamber of Commerce Jaipur. He was on the board of directors Rajasthan Awas Vikas Nigam for 10 years. He is the elected member of CII Rajasthan State Council. He has been involved for over 18 years as convener on panels of tourism, for a number of years on infrastructure, chairman of Rajasthan Builders Association and MES Builders Association of India. Gemini, if I read your accolades and your CV, then the whole 22 hours will go away, so I'll stop right here. I was with Gemini on 11th October 2019, and we launched the Rural Self-Employment Training Institute which Gemini's company had built. It is a net zero building on water, net zero on waste, and net zero on energy. They received the highest points platinum rating by IGBC. It was very hot when we entered the building, Rajasthan, Jodhpur. And when we were sitting out also, there were no fans and we were feeling very hot. But when we entered the building, even without a fan, there was no area in the building where you did not feel cool or you did not have cross ventilation. There is not one drop of water which is allowed to go outside the building. 100% water that lands on the building, every drop I'm talking of is rainwater harvested. There is not a drop of water which goes outside the building. It's a completely net zero waste, net zero water, net zero energy building. Fantastic, Gemini.
Thank you.
We look forward to an excellent distinguished lecture in Jaipur by you in the next 1 month, 1.5 months. Over to you, Gemini. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, to begin with, Gurmit, as always, you've spoken too much. I do not deserve that so many words at all.
Gemini, my wife also says I speak too much.
Always. So does Ritu.
Okay, anyway.
Well, HH and Sandeep, very, very well conducted. And my compliments to our friend, architect Sameep, Sameep, you remind me of another architect whom you must have known over the years, and that is Namish Patel. He was also so very, very fond of making use of the local materials. In fact, that was exactly when I met Dr. Jain, Nimish and his wife Parul, myself, and we worked on how to make use of the local materials when I was building the Oberoi Rajvilas. And so Oberoi Rajvilas in Jaipur and the Oberoi Uday Vilas came up with natural, from the soil available materials, a lot of them, of course. And I mean, for that matter, I very, very proudly say that the mortar which we used was a mixture of cow dung, lime and sulky, which went round and round, not mechanically. I mean, it went round and we had to put several of these mills because both Namish and Dr. Jain said, no mechanical this thing. We need to have, as they were doing for ages in the villages. And that's how we made the entire mortar, which made the building cool for months and warmer during the winter months. You're so right, Gurmit, that building in Jodhpur, which you were kind enough to come, and Sureshji missed coming out there, it has used 100% as far as possible local materials. The ventilation is there, and we really do not need air conditioning. And we are using 100% water, electricity, and just about zero waste. Well, talking about the next chapter, the next series, which we are now holding on the 22nd, on Saturday, the 22nd of May. The topic, as has been discussed with Dr. Hariharan, is to be a holistic approach to water management. Well, water is most important for Rajasthan and for the entire country and the world for that matter. And the chief guest of the speaker would be Mr. Sriram Vedre. Mr. Vedre is presently an advisor to the Ministry of Jal Shakti Mission. He's also the chairman of the task force of interlinking of rivers and as a committee member on the National Water Policy, Government of India. Gurmit, we could make use of him for our National Water Mission also.
Yes.
He would be focusing on 4 aspects. 1, water conservation and rainwater harvesting. 2, renovation of traditional strip wells and water bodies as existing in different parts of the entire country, different in its forms, different in its way of constructing. In Rajasthan, known as tankas, where you could sustain water for all that intermittent 8 to 10 months as between 2 monsoon periods. The reuse of water and recharging of structures, and most important, watershed development and intensive forestation. This is very important also for the forestation and watershed management. In fact, it was his efforts during his tenure as chairman of the Rajasthan River Water Basin and Water Resources Planning Authority. A significant increase is made in the water tables of the state of Rajasthan, especially in some red alert areas like Jodhpur and Jaipur, and that was in the red and yellow zones. And it brought about a befitting 12,000 villages under the water conservation and a groundwater recharge. Well, now that's how he's now moved to Government of India, and he'll be facing the occasion. And the rest of the program, I will be working, getting all the help from, all the help and the guidance and the leadership from Dr. Hariharan, and we'll try and make it a good success for that matter. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gemini. Thank you very much. I would now have the pleasure of introducing the star of the evening, respected Prabhu Gauranga ji, a mindful leader and meditation expert. In the last 3 decades of Prabhuji's life journey, he has touched and transformed countless lives through his activities and different roles he has been adapting to drive change in society. He is a mindful leader, consultant, and is running initiatives related to meditation, yoga, and preventive de-addiction, thus empowering thousands of youth to positively transform their lives. He has established the Govardhan School of Public Leadership in Govardhan Eco Village, involved in training future bureaucrats and public leaders in responsible leadership with character and integrity based on the principles of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, I was fortunate that when he came into Bangalore for the IPA function, he handed over a Bhagavad Gita to me. Thank you, sir. He is also a corporate coach and giving guidance to corporate leaders, and is the convener of events like Earth Conference to inspire entrepreneurs and company heads to give back to society, Nexus Conference to bring together environment leaders, corporate heads, etc., to resolve current environment issues. He is an environmental steward and has implemented sustainable green initiatives in Govardhan Eco Village, which is accredited to the United Nations Environment Assembly and United Nations Economic and Social Council. As a social reformer, he is facilitating transformation in the lives of tribal villagers through the Govardhan Eco Village, through various social and economic interventions. Under his guidance, GEV has won more than 33 awards in the last 5 United Nations Award for Excellence and Innovation in Sustainable Tourism. By the way, the Govardhan Eco Village is certified both by GRIHA and IGBC under its rating, and they have received the highest rating. In fact, Prabhuji is also the president of the Sri Radhe Radhe temple at in Bombay, and even that is accredited by IGBC for the highest rating. Thank you, Prabhuji. You don't know, but Prabhuji now is not traveling, but he sometimes calls me at 11 o'clock in the night from Sweden, sometimes from Johannesburg, and sometimes from Melbourne. And he says, I'm calling you from Melbourne. Who is the Green Building Council head over here? And I tell him, wait a minute, I have to find out. I don't have that information right away. And then I find out at 9, 10 in the night, call him back. I mean, he's a real green promoter, and wherever the temples are, I think Prabhuji, 138 temples or more, if I'm not wrong, he wants to transform them all to green certification all across the world. Thank you, Prabhuji. He is an extraordinary teacher, an academician, trustee of vast manuscripts library containing approximately 20,000 works on a vast variety of India's ancient religions and cultures, chairman of Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth Research Center, and a center affiliated Mumbai University for awarding PhDs in Indian philosophy and Vaishnavism. He is an inspirational speaker for his expertise in presenting Vedic knowledge in a contemporary and enticing way, like TEDx, Intel, Salesforce, Google. He has spoken to them all. He is involved in the leadership and organizational developments of ISKCON in various capacities, including being a trustee of ISKCON Leadership College, Global Duty Officer of ISKCON, Divisional Director of Devotee Care, Temple Development, Systems and Administration of ISKCON temples worldwide. He is in charge of all the projects of ISKCON. The icing on the cake, what you can't see behind the orange color kurta that he wears, he's a BTech from IIT Bombay. And when he speaks to you, you'll know he's a BTech. He's also a great cook. He has cooked over 3 million plates in the period from 2007 to 2019. Prabhuji, you have never called me for a dinner. During the recent COVID pandemic, he, along with his team at Govardhan Eco Village, cooked 111,000 free meals to feed migrant labor and tribal villagers. Prabhuji is also the IPA, Indian Plumbing Association's brand ambassador on I Save Water mission. In 2019, we saved 133 crore liters of water. 2020, we had to stop the campaign because of requirements of the pandemic, COVID-19, for hand washing, hygiene, and disinfection. I can go on and on about Prabhuji, but I cannot steal the limelight from Gauranga Prabhu. And I present to you my teacher, my guide, and my respected very own Gauranga Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Gurmit ji, for your very generous words of introduction. I am very grateful to you for reaching out and connecting at the first time conference we met 2 years ago. And as a result of that, I could then connect with Dr. Premal Jain also, and also with Suresh Kumar ji. And I remember Jain Saab very fondly for his warmth, for his hospitality, for his ability to connect with anyone at any level. And my pranams to Payal ji, and thanks to her for inviting me here, for giving me this platform to share and remember some of the amazing insights which ISKCON and Govardhan Eco Village as a spiritual society have received because of the association with the Indian Green Building Council. So as all of us are aware that between 1990 and 2019, the global fossil carbon dioxide emissions have risen by almost 62%. And currently they are at almost 36.5 billion tons. And as the United Nations is frantically trying, the 2016, 2020 world temperature, average global temperature has been the warmest on the record, and almost it's 1.1 degree above the 1850 to 1900 period. And therefore, as the levels of greenhouse gases are increasing to record high, and as the ice caps are melting, and as we are experiencing a biodiversity loss of over 1 million species over the next 50 years, and as we are seeing that the birds flying in the sky and perching on the trees, almost 1 out of 8 birds in the coming 50 years may face extinction. 1 out of 4 mammals may face such an extinction. 1 out of 3 amphibians may face such an extinction. We are actually, living in a day and age where all of us, every single moment, have to feel responsible for the current state of the planet. Being in India, and many of you have experienced the air pollution in Delhi and Mumbai and some other cities, you are aware that exposure to air pollution causes almost 7 million deaths worldwide, and it costs a whopping almost $5.1 trillion in welfare losses globally. So yes, we cannot survive without oxygen. And in the last month or so, India has seen this very terribly. And we offer a moment of prayer for all of them who are suffering as a result of this pandemic. But the fact remains that even when we have the choice and opportunity, we have the opportunity to make choices which would actually reverse this air pollution and actually be able to stop this 9% of deaths globally, which happens due to air pollution. And what to speak of indoor air pollution? And the WHO estimates that almost 4.3 million people die because of this indoor air pollution. And, water is life, they say. But practically in 2017, almost 71% of the global population, 5.3 billion people, they used safely managed drinking water, right? And at least we find that today we have decreased the gap, but still almost 785 million people, they lack even a basic drinking water service. And at least 144 million people lack access. 144 million people are totally dependent only on the surface water. So we are living at a time and age where 2 billion people across the world, they are forced to drink water coming from a source which is contaminated with feces. So many of these issues have to deal with how we are approaching our built environment. And thanks to IGBC, we at ISKCON have learned a lot in terms of transforming our habits, transforming the way we are using our current source of materials. And in fact, inspired by them, we have also installed a plastic recycling plant, because today 8 million pieces of plastic find its way into the ocean every single day. And 12 million tons of plastic are poured into the ocean every year. So this has been a very wonderful journey where ISKCON, as a leader in spiritual knowledge, very much dedicated to the printing and the publishing and the distribution of the Bhagavad Gita. And we are happy to share with you that over the last 50 years, ISKCON has distributed 50 crore Bhagavad Gitas. And the basic essence of Bhagavad Gita is harmony with the self, harmony with the divine, harmony with society and every member of society irrespective of species, and harmony with nature. And therefore the Pancha Mahabhutas have been very strongly emphasized in Bhagavad Gita. Bhumirapo analo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara itiyamme bhinna prakritir ashtadhaha. And therefore, I'm so happy that this collaboration between IGBC and ISKCON has taken in its first step 25 temples, which we want to make as green temple within the next 1 year. And we are very much looking forward to your ongoing cooperation and support for this. And I extend my special gratitude to Gurmit ji and Suresh ji for facilitating this. And of course, because of the pandemic, things have slowed down a little bit, but all the devotees all across ISKCON are very much looking forward to this pilot of 25 temples. Otherwise, ISKCON has 700 temples all over the world. And therefore, we want to create this transformation within our temples, because every temple is a place which has millions of people footfall, and it can become a place for educating people, thanks to the guidance of IGBC, on how we can live in our built environment better and mitigate climate change. So one such example I want to share with you is of that of Govardhan Eco Village in Palghar district. And we are just 2 hours, 100 kilometers from the Mumbai airport. And yeah, can begin. Yeah. So basically, three major problems we find as far as current changes in challenges in organizations dealing in capacity building is inadequate devolution of funds, functions, and functionaries, limited capacity building for executing local governance, and weaknesses in decentralized integrated planning, limiting the scope of determining and addressing local priorities. So we thought that, okay, India has a population of 1.3 billion, out of which almost 70% are in the villages. So are we addressing the needs of the villages? So ISKCON decided that we should now start also dealing in the villages and integrate the needs of people in the villages with the needs of those in cities. So we realize that people in cities are dealing with stress. 300 million people globally are suffering stress symptoms. And therefore, what they are looking for in the cities is primarily peace. And those in the village are looking for paisa. So we thought, can we connect peace to paisa? And we thought, let's have an excellent center of excellence for tourism, centered around yoga, Ayurveda, spiritual transformation. And we recreated in 100 acres a facility which would support the needs of cultural, rural, health, tourism of people from across the world, from the cities. And then with whatever income we earn, we would be able to support the livelihoods of rural people around us. So we are doing rural development in 75 villages around the eco village. And we are supporting the farmers with organic farming. We are supporting the women with women empowerment. We are running schools, and we are also supporting with primary healthcare center, and also helping the farmers supply their products and produce back to the city through our Haribol chain of milk. If you are looking at excellent quality, A2 milk of indigenous cows, so you can go on our website, Haribol Milk, and you'll find this supply at your doorstep in Mumbai especially, and then a range of products. So all of this is part of UN circular economy, which we wanted to support in a big way. And therefore, there was a need to strengthen the institutional support framework in general through policy, advocacy support, capacity building, information and knowledge management support, and research activities and local government activities. So, the phase 1 of our intervention has been creation of Govardhan Eco Village. The phase 2, which is over 100 acres, the phase 2 of our intervention is going to be the creation of Govardhan Education and Entrepreneurship Village spread over 45 acres. which is right next to the Govardhan Eco Village, where we are going to be also setting up an excellent incubation center for social entrepreneurship in collaboration with the BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, and they have this incubation cell. So Govardhan Eco Village is a harmony of spirituality, environment, sustainability, and social inclusion. And therefore, as part of our Center of Excellence, we have the advantage of being close to Mumbai, and we have a model which creates an excellent roadmap of how we are going to escalate and scale up and solve social issues. And we have a pool of different skill sets already at place. So the vision is to facilitate self-development. That means people coming from the cities looking for self-transformation, self-development, organizational development, and rural development through conscious leadership principles. And the mission is to catalyze innovative ideas and approaches in India and globally towards rural communities through value creation. So the most important key values which we hold deep is responsiveness. A kind of apathy has crept across rural India, but we want to be responsive to the needs of the underprivileged, of those who are socially excluded, economically challenged. Commitment, awareness, infusion of scientific temper. We want to harmonize tradition with technology. And you will see as part of our presentation how this happens. And to accelerate organizational efficiency. And therefore, the key areas where Govardhan Eco Village is committed to focus upon as a center of excellence is to have a holistic and multi-sectoral approach while dealing with issues related to village empowerment. And the PPP mode with reputed state and national institutions and the existing structure of GEV is leaned towards a capacity building mode and not to a transitional service mode. And therefore, the management components of this Center of Excellence will be the master lead, the project management team, beneficiaries training, business system partners, training department, and strategy planning team. The key features would be autonomy, focus on quality of outputs, promoting India's heritage and wisdom, strong knowledge management, strong communication, and strong leadership. So we want to focus on attracting and retaining the best training facilities. And all of these facilities have been housed within the IGBC rated, smart village model. And as we are coming up with our new buildings in the Center of Excellence for Education and Entrepreneurship Development, that also will be in collaboration with the IGBC. So these are the clusters of department. As you know that Palghar is an extremely impoverished area. So we are setting up research units for health, hunger and nutrition, education, research and training, sustainability and conservation, and tribal development and animal care. So these are the clusters of the departments, and part of the circular economy will be sustainable and self-sufficient living, and the leadership development centered around plastic and water recycling and management, energy conservation and use of renewable energy sources, natural farming and sustainable agriculture, and improvement of health and nutrition, and cultural, social, and spiritual development. So these will be the various components of circular economy, because as we have experienced today, that as many people are affected by COVID, so many more are also affected by the effects of social isolation. And the need of the hour is to not only create a resilient economy, but also create a resilient individual. So we begin with creating resilient individuals and then gradually go to create resilient economies and then resilient social communities. And therefore, these are the clusters of the various activities happening within 100 acres right now. And you can't believe how many more such activities we are going to unleash in our 40 acres, because all these, what you are seeing on the screen, has been developed between 2010 and 2020. And what we are going to come up as part of our Govardhan Education and Entrepreneurship Village is going to be between 2020 and 2030. And that will be much faster than this, because we have learned a lot in this period. So we are going to take you through this journey of sustainability and resource innovation, Center for Renewable Resources, Alternative Energy, Center for Spiritual and Ecotourism, Center for Natural Farming, Solar and Biogas, Govardhan School of Yoga, Ayurveda, Sustainability. So let's begin with Center for Renewable Resource and Biodiversity at Govardhan Eco Village, where we have biogas energy, solar energy, and a very interesting ADPM animal-driven prime mover to showcase that bulls can be useful and they need to be protected. We also demonstrate and bring in visitors and tourists, almost 20,000 every year, and show them how to make compressed stabilized earth bricks, which is currently we have built more than 250,000 bricks on site. And all of this is ultimately using only 0.275 megajoules per kilogram as against 72 megajoules per kilogram for a typical brick wall. And so we find that to support that, we have the soil biotechnology plant created by my dear friend, Dr. Biplav Patnaik, patented by IIT Mumbai. And every year we are creating 4 crore liters, mind again, 4 crore liters of recycled water for agriculture, thanks to the soil biotechnology plant, which processes water using all kinds of natural ingredients, especially the geophygus earthworms, the bioreactors, and everything is designed as per this patented technology. And we have also installed the largest rainwater harvesting tank in Palghar district. And we have, through the water resource department, created 850 plus lift irrigation beneficiaries, 5,500 plus drinking water beneficiaries, and we all began with the hydrogeological survey. Most interestingly, the entire project is based on what is known as symbiotic recycling model, where the cow gives dung and it is used for organic farming, and that is used to grow the food. And then that food is cooked in a fuel which comes from the cow dung, which is in form of biogas. And then what comes out in the form of sewage is then ultimately used in the soil biotechnology plant. And that soil biotechnology plant then brings out the water, which is again known as fish fit water, ready for irrigation. This entire cycle is basically a perfect example of circular economy. And we have also created a replica of the holy land of Vrindavan, because, dear friends, all of you know that the world population of 7.6 billion, 33% are Christians, 31% are Christians, 23% are Islamic, 16% are atheists, agnostic, 15% are Hindus, and 8.5% of the world population are Buddhists. We find a small country like Northern Ireland with a population of 1 million, pre-COVID got 5 million tourists with hardly any heritage to share. Whereas India, with such a vast history of heritage and culture, with a population of 1.3 billion, got a meager 11 million foreign tourists. So we can do a lot to share about our tradition and culture and attract people to come and experience the real India in terms of its spiritual tradition. And so, along with the replica of Vrindavan, we have also promoting, as inspired by our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, to share the principles of yoga. So we have various kinds of yoga courses which are happening, and we have excellent Kerala Ayurveda therapy happening on site. 2 hours from Mumbai, you can go through an entire 21 days Panchakarma and experience transformation. And especially during COVID time, we have created special packages for developing immunity and immunity boosters, organic farming using our own patented organic fertilizers using cow dung and cow urine and biopesticides. And we are also using the cow urine for rice saplings. We have some of the best rice saplings, including Mahadi rice, which can actually, eating that rice itself will cure your microfractures. Dear friends, we have no idea how much of power is there in our own indigenous seeds and crops. And it is a need of the hour, as Vandana Shivaji always quotes. And then we have, excellent traditional techniques. Like on May 14th is Akshay Tritiya, and on that day we have our own indigenous technique by which we will predict based on the Parashar Samhita how the rainfall is going to happen in this particular year. And so you will not believe it, how many foreign tourists come just to be part of this excellent organic farming experience. And what to speak of the exquisite cuisine, because India is a land of multi cuisines. And therefore, as they say, Jaisa Ann Vaisa Man, and it has been very clearly proven that the food consumption choices, food growing and food consumption choices are going to play a major part as far as reversing climate change is concerned, and we have to pay special attention to this. And therefore, health, hunger and nutrition, Govardhan Annakshetra, Hunger Research Institute and Center for Health and Hygiene. And as you know, dear friends, one of the biggest challenges India is facing is also lack of nutrition and malnutrition. And therefore, a balanced organic dietary diversity in men and women is key, and we are committed to this. And therefore, we have served more than 200,000 meals in 2019-20, and we have achieved our target of distributing, more than 1 lakh meals in the last year. And now we are on an ambitious program of distributing 1.5 million meals in the current financial year in a program known as Govardhan Anna Kshetra. So we are providing in 7 talukas, Jawar, Mukhada, Vikramgad, Wada, at Dahanu, and also in Palghar. And we want to reach out to all of these areas and make sure that we are able to curb suicides by distributing free food to the, especially those who are marginalized labor community, and support the rural development initiatives. And then India International Institute for Hunger, Nutrition and Agriculture is going to be an excellent research initiative with the universal access to safe and nutritious food to end all forms of malnutrition, to double the productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers, and to maintain the genetic diversity in food production. And we have been extremely active as far as health and hygiene is concerned by providing community health camps with specialists. More than 2,500 camps and 100,000 treatments have been done so far. One of the most important things we are conducting is awareness camps on sanitation and healthcare. Education and research training is going on at various ways. And as I just shared with you, these are some of the areas which we are, embarking in. Village children, we are teaching as part of Govardhan Gurukul, and have created, science talent search in more than 54 schools and 1,650 participants. The scientists of tomorrow are going to come from these rural spaces. And as you have seen, post the Taj 26/11 attack, it was featured in the Harvard Business Review that the Taj Group, as a matter of policy, scouts for talent from smaller towns. And the reason being there, the concept of respect, loyalty, and humility, the traditional Indian ethos of hospitality are still being preserved. And therefore, culture and values is going to be playing a major role in the future of transformation of society. And therefore, we are also constantly inviting people from all over the world to experience Vedic culture, Vedic lifestyle, and experience transformation. And we are coming up, starting on June 1st, a state-of-the-art, Bhaktivedanta Kaushal Vikas Ken Skill Development Center. And we are going to be running various kinds of courses for 1 year, teaching tribal children 72 skills in 1 year. And an excellent infrastructure costing around 14 crores is almost in the verge of completion. Some elements are still remaining to be completed. If anyone is interested, you can always connect at this level. 70 plus students are trained, and 80% placement records we have seen. And we have a library of 25,000 books called the Bhaktivedanta Research Center, consisting of manuscripts and ancient texts. And we have regular life lessons from the monks, and we have hosted various kinds of conferences in the past. And we want to create now the School of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, School of Sustainability and Cultural Leadership, School of Public and Mindful Leadership. We firmly believe that all of these spaces, which have been curated and created with the kind collaboration of IGBC, will actually begin a transformation in people's hearts, because believe me, the future of India lies in education and education and education. And thanks to our collaboration, we have excellent facilities for education and transformation. And we ultimately want to reach out and create the Center for Rural Development. Already we have reached out to 1,300 plus farmers who have been adopted, 7,000 plus farmers have been trained, and 165,000 horticulture planting has happened. And we have a biodiversity hub of nursery and a Goshala, and this all has resulted in tremendous amount of response from people from across the world, including various awards which have received, including the United Nations World Tourism Award in 2017 in Madrid. So I wish to conclude by honoring my most, my most heartfelt guide and mentor in the space of green buildings, Shri Prem Jain ji, on this day by sharing one very interesting small 1-minute video about the Govardhan Eco Village, so that all of you get in 1 minute an idea about what exactly the Govardhan Eco Village is all about in terms of its ethos. Yeah, start. No, this is not the
Sound, sound.
sound.
Can you check the sound and play again, boss?
The audio has not come.
Yeah, so can you?
Okay, I think,
No, let's see that, Swamiji.
We will see it. Let them just set it.
It's a good one.
Just
It's a
1
good
minute.
one. A good impact.
okay.
Yatin, please confirm. Just speak up, please.
Yeah.
Doctor, we don't have the presentation. It
okay.
has to be run from
Come
there.
from there.
It never
All right.
came to us.
Coming? I think it's live. Yes.
Perfect, perfect.
Oh, it was there. It
Yeah,
came.
yeah. Oh,
Lost the voice again.
yeah.
I think he's on mute. That's why.
Who?
Prabhuji is on mute, and that's how the sound vanishes. Maybe the same system.
Prabhuji, just put yourself on unmute. Let's see. There.
You unmute yourself, Prabhuji.
He's unmuted, yeah.
World. It's like a retreat, like a spa.
No, there are two systems together.
That's right.
That's why
That's right. You're right.
Well, there are 2-3 videos now, so we need the sound.
It's all right. We're getting a sense.
Okay. So you're not able to hear, right?
We can't hear.
Okay, fine. Let's give it.
think
Could I, Babuji, could I request the other system to be put on mute?
It's okay.
This system to be on then?
No, I think, you know,
Leave it at that. It's okay.
they did some trial yesterday, right?
You offer some closing notes?
It's okay. We don't have time, so just go ahead.
Sure. Sure. You could offer some closing notes, Prabhuji, and we could then invite Mr. Suresh. No.
You are mute, sir.
Yeah. No, he is muted. Yes.
Prabhuji, you are mute.
Prabhuji are unmuted.
No, it's okay. I think we are not trying.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah. Thank
No,
you. He's done.
I
Over
would
to
like
you,
to end with your own inimitable style, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And we hope to connect on various activities together. Thank you so much.
Can we try the video once again?
It's okay, Gurmit. We'll leave it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. No mind. It's available on YouTube also, so we'll probably see it there. Yes.
What we can do is we can share it with all our
That's right.
participants. On PJMT, we can share that.
Absolutely. If the link can be shared, that will be useful.
Yeah.
Sureshji, over to you.
Over to you, okay.
Yes.
So
Thank
very
you so
happy.
much. Yeah. So Sureshji,
the visuals, I think the visuals are going. It's not right for me to.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the audio.
Another 4 minutes maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the visuals go through. I may get a feel of what's happening there.
Okay.
Is it moving?
Absolutely.
No, it's blocked again.
Please play.
Please play.
Button, please.
Don't stop it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine, Mr. Suresh.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah. So let the video be stopped then.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, such a great pleasure to give me the last opportunity for the day to pay the vote of thanks for the wonderful evening that we had. We are indeed honored to have the gracious presence of Prabhuji amidst us to give that wonderful address, which is the Prem Jain Distinguished Lecture Series address, the fourth in the series, and to hear all the wonderful work that has been done in the Govardhan Eco Village and various initiatives, not only the initial 40 acres and the plan that he has got for the 100 acres with substantial amount of new components being added. And I'm very deeply impressed. We have been associated with this particular project over there, and there isn't a few adjectives that we can add on that. So many elements that they're all leading to sustainability. That's a link that that is there with Dr. Premji Jain, because everything that you want to do in built environment is always sustainability principles. As Prabhuji rightly said, the whole development has got to be revolved around the Panchbhutas, and that message itself is a very powerful message that he has given to all of us. And how do you deal with that particular aspect in terms of water, energy, in terms of the habitat that you have created, in terms of the circular economy, along with all the natural inputs that comes over there, is something that we are so happy to see that. And to see that you are able to have a symbiotic development model covering all these elements is a very important important issue. And he said, as he said, Jaise Anna, Vaise Man, Jaise An, Vaise Man, that component of relating the mind and the body and trying to give 1.5 million meals to be given to the children are very, very important. Your whole initiative in getting into education as an important thrust is truly laudatory, Prabhuji, and more importantly, skill development. The national education policy also wants to give thrust not to get into all of them to go into 10, 11, 12 degrees, but give to various trades, the skill development is hands-on training, which will give them the right vocation related to the development of that particular rural hinterland in a very large way. At the same time, adopting the latest technologies over there, linking with IIT, the soil biotechnology that you are using over there, also for recycling of water, decentralized water systems, and recycling in a large way, and renewable energy through biogas as well as solar, etc., are great messages. Each one of them are components which Dr. Jain's leadership, the whole green building movement has built up over the years, and it's the biggest homage that we are able to see. That we got to visit that. We promised we'll come over to the Govardhan village, and I'm sure our executive board meeting of the IGBC one of these days, we'll have it in the Govardhan village. And Gurmit ji already had a mind to do that particularly. I'm sure we will do that. It must be the most rewarding experience for all of us to do that. We are indeed grateful to you for having come over and participate in the program. We had the pleasure of hearing you in the IGBC Congress, in the IPA forum, and now, of course, today we are hearing you once again. We are very grateful for sharing all the wonderful initiatives that you have taken and the experience, and more importantly, the powerful message of sustainable development. And as already you know, Dr. Jain, Prem Jain, is the one who is the author behind the whole sustainable development model to be added in the building code 2016, after the 193 countries joined together and have the sustainable development goal to say 2030. That was September 2015. A year from that, the first one to do on sustainability has been the NBC of India, and Dr. Jain's leadership is known on the particular thing and the type of vision that he had. I'm sure if you would have visited this particular project, you would have been so happy to see that all his dream ideas all have been incorporated here. I'm very grateful once again on behalf of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust. Let me say a big thank you, sir, and we would like to acknowledge that very warmly. And to you, sir, it's in this order: regards followed by respect, along with reverence. We have it for you, for all the wisdom that you have been able to share with all of us continuously, to get all our minds, igniting everybody's mind, waking us up from the materialistic world to large number of value-based life in a large way. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, it's also time for me to thank, most importantly, Sameep Padora for all the wonderful 3 presentations that he had of not only the Jatawan Community Center or the Hunarshala or the Maya Somaya library, each one of them with the appropriate building materials and technology and the design elements that you have. And this is a topic so close to my heart: appropriate and cost-effective building materials and technology, traditional practice and materials is a combo so close to my heart. So when I hear about all the 3 projects of yours, and I was so happy to see that. And I'm sure one of these days when you visit Mumbai, we should visit some of these particular projects. But I like the last project that you had on the Maya Somaya library, wherein you have gotten the technology of the shape engineering as one of the best libraries, the daylight component coming, the air coming over there, and the inspiration coming Spain and Uruguay. Some of those initiatives done by the famous architect for Uruguay, and the shape engineering is something amazing, especially on masonry and other related work. And the last one, the Temple of Steps, really leaves behind a very visual image in the mind of all of us, with the water and the body and all around that particular component, the way in which you have created such a masterpiece of retention pond along with the rainwater harvesting structures over there. It's a phenomenally wonderful thing. And as you said, the only positive word is optimism to be brought into a large way. And I think that's exactly what you are trying to do through all the 4 projects. Thank you so much, Sameep Padora, for the wonderful presentation. My thanks equally go to Ashok Mohanani Saab for his inaugural address, and he brought in all the wonderful initiatives that he has taken along with NAREDCO's leadership in the Western leadership there, and all those wonderful points over the stamp duty or the lost mile fund or the ECLGS, the lowest interest rate of 6.6%, and being a partner along with IGBC. Each one of them are important component, and themselves coming with large amount of projects along with the NAREDCO constituents to make to go the green path. We're indeed grateful for your joining us also in this particular presentation. Grateful thanks on behalf of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust to you as well. And thank you most importantly, Oberoi Saab and Jaimini ji for being with us and to invite us to come to Jaipur for the next memorial address, speaking on a very interesting topic on integrated water management is something we are very happy. And to all the wonderful participants over there, on behalf of Payal Jain ji and Renu Jain ji, who are also here, to whom we give grateful thanks. We have a big thank you very much, be it JP or Rajesh, Lansab or Anil Devji, as well as Ranganath ji, and all our supporters in a larger. I can't count all that. I'm very happy that we had 500 odd registration, not only for this thing, plus the whole thing, not only seen live participants here, but it's also on the Facebook. And we are grateful for the type of dissemination that we are able to put across in this particular program. And on behalf of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, which we are very actively associated, the wonderful symbiotic relationship between the IGBC and PJMT, will be able to work together. As he said, I use the borrowing the word from Prabhuji, in a symbiotic manner. That's exactly the type of relationship we'd like to build upon. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We had a very wonderful session from right from 3 o'clock on dot on to now to 5 o'clock, 3 minutes now. We are very grateful for all your support and participation. And what a wonderful way to end the 4th memorial distinguished lecture address for Dr. Prem C. Jain. I'm sure with Dr. Prem C. Jain, the closing word has to be for Dr. Prem C. Jain Association over 35 years and starting from 1984-85 time. And it's been a great learning for all of us, as Gurmit ji has indicated, others have all indicated. But more importantly is the wonderful message that he has given to all of us. He built up a great team of people, of professionals of various multidisciplinary background. He has got the whole industry, he has got the educational institutions, he's got the actors, including government, to sit up and think in this direction. And I'm sure with all the initiatives that have been taken under his leadership, originally through the Indian Green Building Council and now through promotion through the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, Payalji, a special thanks for all the wonderful work you are doing on this particular thing. And to closingly to architect, Chandra Hariharan, Dr. Chandra Hariharan for mentoring this particular whole series of the memorial address once again. And I can't leave Gurmit Arora, my co-chair, with whom we are building up this whole institutional work and making it as a big moment, as in his own words of Dr. Prem C. Jain, to take the green path forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sureshji.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, Sureshji.
Thank you. Special thanks to you for having got Guruji here. Sandeep Shikre, marvelous job. We've got only 3-4
In
minutes.
fact, all the three Sandeeps have been done. Sandeep Naran, Sandeep Tololika, Sandeep Mandarita, Sandeep Shikre, and for all the community initiatives that they are
Sureshji, we forget that there is one more Sandeep. His name is Sandeep Veermani. Our Sameep talked about Hunarshala.
Yeah,
that is headed by Sandeep Veermani.
Yes.
But 30 years.
But all the other Sandeeps are all there.
Absolutely.
Anand was there, Tololika was there.
Yes.
Also, Mandarita was there, as well as Shikre, all were there.
Absolutely.
And for the great lead given by the Western IGBC Mumbai chapter, a big thanks to him and the team over there. We miss today Malaji because father passed away today morning, and our condolences also to Malaji for all the leadership he's given.
That's right. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned, R.K. Somani and PJ, Shroff and others. They're all there. Wonderful meeting. Thank you so much. I think we should all exit.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Gemini to Jaipur, coming next.